Hello, and welcome to episode 93 of Design Curious Podcast. I'm your host and mentor, Rebecca Ward. Today on the podcast, we are talking about leveraging life experiences to help you move forward in your career. A lot of people think that even if they're switching careers or new to interior design, that they are starting with a blank slate, but that's not quite the case. So I'm going to show that to you in today's podcast. Before we get into that, if you're looking to start your career in interior design, I'd love to help you and get into My Design Mentor, my online mentoring platform that we can get your career started the right way. If you're looking for just a little bit more information, I have some free downloads for you. You can find all those in the show notes. There's a fun quiz for you to take, and I would love to just hear from you. So send me a message on Instagram or email me. All right, let's get into today's episode. You're now listening to Design Curious, a place where you, creative one, are here to learn about what it really is like to be an interior designer. And I'm your host and mentor, Rebecca Ward. If you're worried about how to succeed in a creative career, if you're ready to learn your next steps to become an interior designer, and if you want the satisfaction of doing something you love every day, you are in the right place. Grab a coffee, a notebook, and let's dig into today's episode. So one thing I tell people who come to My Design Mentor all the time is that don't worry, you have a lot of life experiences that you can bring forward into your career, and it's going to make you a much better designer. Interior design is all about creating functional, healthy, beautiful homes that you naturally have resources from your everyday life that can help you create homes that function better and look beautiful. So, first of all, anytime you travel, like I talked about a couple weeks ago, or take in any cultural experience, read magazines, books, watch a movie or show, you have the opportunity to absorb design styles, finishes, the furnishings that you could implement in a client's home and make it more stylish. So just by living your life, you have the opportunity to take in beauty that inspires beauty in someone else's life. People are often inspired by movie sets. For example, all of the movies that have been produced by filmmaker Nancy Meyers are an inspiration to a lot of design clients. They'll often reference her films as a type of kitchen that they would love to have in their home. And you've seen these kitchens before. They are the 1991 version of Father of the Bride, which is a very iconic house. A lot of people love that. And Something's Gotta Give, that kitchen with the giant island was definitely something people love. The movie The Holiday, It's Complicated, and The Intern all have these classic designs that just look homey and inviting, and people just want to spend time in those kitchens. So that's just from watching movies, just a handful of movies, but there's often shows and other great set designers we've talked to some before about how inspiring watching movies and TV shows can be for designers. Also, Lily, who is a designer in my company, she is inspired by watching the movie Don't Worry, Darling, and it has some of the most beautiful home sets, and she loved seeing a built-in record player that they had on one of the sets, and it inspired her to do a built-in drawing for our clients. And so the whole look of that was inspired and carried over into our own projects. Obviously, you can draw on all of these moments from your life to inform your drawings and your designs. And while the style side of design is talked about a lot of time, beauty is subjective. And making a home functional is often harder than making it pretty, but is often more important. And we have clients who don't mind how their home looks, but there's something about how it functions that is a deal breaker for them and makes them reach out to us. So when you think about your home and how it functions for you, you'll be able to think about the things you love about your home and things you wish were better. Those aspects of your home that you really like, you're likely to add to your clients' homes. And things that you don't like about your home, you'll make sure that they're not happening in your designs for your client. I was fortunate to grow up in a custom designed home. So I was definitely observing all the things that the builder had put into the house. Why they did that, I definitely had opinions on. And so it has definitely informed my designs going forward as far as the layout of the house, different features and aspects of the home. It was my training ground really for me as I was growing up to have this home that was a custom floor plan. It wasn't a cookie cutter layout like the one I live in now. About 5 other houses on the street had the same floor plan, just flipped around, which is fun. We'll all kind of go into each other's houses and see what we've done with the same plan. But it was great to live in a home that was completely custom and just had a lot of interesting details that the builder had done. And I know that they hadn't used a designer. And so there's a few places where that is obvious to me. So things like that, places that you live or apartments you've lived in and everywhere, really. Just be an observer of your surroundings and take note of what you like, what you don't like, because oftentimes your clients are going to appreciate those details. Things that you might take for granted or not give much serious thought to are details that you're responsible for in your client's house. So you should be paying attention to them and make sure you notice how they make you feel. Start thinking about design decisions that you live with in your home and you love and that you dislike, and pay attention to your family and friends' homes, what they like and dislike, and how their home function for them. You can even take a survey even. This might be kind of fun if you're just starting out, just to get feedback from people like, how do you like your kitchen layout? Is your refrigerator too far away? Is it too close? Ask them things like that, because these are opinions that people will be asking you later on when you're doing consultations, and you'll have an informed answer for them when they ask you questions because you've surveyed a lot of people. And even if you haven't experienced yourself or haven't designed it for someone yet, you have a lot of feedback from people, and you know that it's pretty much a sure thing that, yes, you definitely need a dishwasher next to your kitchen sink or something like that. So pay attention to these things and the world around you, and you'll become a better designer for creating homes for people that are not only beautiful, but also function well for them, increasing their quality of life. And isn't that what we're here for? Like, all I want to do is just help people with the way they live. I want to change their lives by changing where they live and changing it for the better. And I know you feel that way too. So be an observer of your surroundings, and it is going to go a long way. And you can bring all of this experience forward with you into your career. So that is the design side of life experiences. But what other life experiences are going to be beneficial to you as you go into your career? Well, oftentimes any kind of office work that you've done, any organizational softwares that you use on your computer, meeting with people, team meetings, learning how to work on a team, communications, making phone calls, writing emails, and a lot of computer work really goes into being a designer. You're on your computer for a lot of the design work as well as the communication process. So think about situations that you've had where you had to navigate difficult situations and how people responded. Maybe learning from things that maybe didn't go so well and knowing that going forward or whenever you talk to a client, you need to speak with them in a certain way, or think about experiences that you've had with other services as well. So being a designer is being a service provider. So there are other service providers in your life, and you've been on the receiving end of that. It could be doctors, attorneys, any service provider for your home. This is where contractors oftentimes get a bad rap because they'll say they'll be at your home between 9 and 11, and then they show up at 2 and they've never called you and didn't give an excuse to why they were late. It's very inconsiderate. People's time is such a valuable commodity that you don't want to take it lightly. You want to make sure that you're on time for every meeting, and if you're not, you're communicating with them that you will be there shortly or an emergency has happened, but don't leave them waiting and wondering. That is why everybody loves when we show up on time for every consultation. We confirm with them like the day before, and it's just a great process, and it helps to establish trust and mutual respect of each other's time, which is something it's not a renewable resource, right? So it's so valuable. So think about all of these other situations that you've been in life, received services from people, and think about how you were treated, what you liked and what you didn't like. Take notes on that and set it up in your own company or in your own career to move forward, that even if you're working for someone else, you're always going to answer the phone by the second ring, or you're always going to return someone's call within 24 hours. Things that you appreciate, other people will appreciate too. So that is how you can use all of your life experiences going forward into your career. So you're not going to go in empty-handed. Regardless of what you may feel, you definitely have experience that you can use. And this is how I work with people in my program, is we find those skills that you already have and we amplify them and use them for your advantage when you're going forward in your career as an interior designer. So hopefully by now you realize that you are not going into your career empty-handed, that you actually have a lot of skills and life experience that you can bring forward with you. And you're doing a great job. I would love to hear from you and help you on this journey. So reach out to me on Instagram or email me or sign up for My Design Mentor or get one of my downloads, which will get you on my email list. And I would just love to hear from you if there's more topics that you would like me to discuss here on the podcast, or if you have questions for me. I like to do a Q&A episode at least once a year. So I store those questions up and I can answer them here on the podcast. So send me your questions. I'd love to hear from you. That's all I have for this week. Next week, I'll have another great episode. And until then, stay creative. Thanks for listening. If you love this episode, please leave a rating and a review. This helps me reach other curious creatives like you. If you have a topic request or would like to contact me, simply head over to my website, rwarddesign.com, or email me at podcast@rwarddesign.com.